Morning. Welcome to Hitchhiking Stars YouTube channel, Mars Day's day of posting videos. Still on the wave of forecasting, so I just want to have a quick look at this chart. So this is the chart for the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. Now, this is a big deal. You know, the last time that Neptune and Jupiter met was 2009. So 2009, December 2009, more precisely, at around 23, 24 degrees Aquarius. So that's where Saturn is going to be. But that's where the last conjunction was. So where is 24 Aquarius in your chart? Do you remember anything, you know, that happened for you relevant connected to these two planets? Well, you know, a few years later, over 10 years later, so 13 years later, which is around, you know, the cycle of Jupiter, really. 13 years later, we have Jupiter and Neptune meeting again, but at 23 degrees Pisces. Now, this chart is set for London again, still based in London, so that's where the chart has been set. Now, very important, one of the important things to think about is how that plugs into your chart. We can only do things and we can only envision things that are part of our world, are part of our worldview as well. So that, I mean, Jupiter and Neptune does talk about potentially shifting your worldview, but that's in the area, in the specific area where that planet, those two planets are going to fall in your chart. So is that in the first house? Is that in the 10th house? Is that in the 11th? Where is it falling in your chart? First and foremost, you need to put within the context of your life, of your own views, of your own experience. So really important to place that in your chart. Secondly, but not less important, does that actually activate any of your planets, any of your angles? Do you have an ascendant at 23 Pisces or a descendant at 23 Pisces or in the midheaven or the IC? Or do you have the moon at 23 Pisces or 23 Virgo or 23 Gemini or Sagittarius? So if any of the mutable signs are involved, this is also a big thing because it will be around either a square or opposition to it as well. So you need to have a look in particular if that Jupiter Neptune makes any aspect to any part of your natal chart. And this is going to give you further clue about how to bring that into life, how to channel that energy, how to express that energy, and also what kind of vision board you can create. That's going to be more effective. So the way I work with astrology and the way I like to work with my clients is very much, what is the best I can do with this, right? I don't, you know, it's also not about being empty Pollyanna and like, oh, everything is great and everything is going to be amazing. No, that's not about that. It is a little bit more grounded than that. But it's really, for me, the empowerment is really important. You know, the right question isn't, oh, when's this going to end? You know, my Saturn return, when is this going to end? But rather, what can I do with it? Oh, Saturn return. That's why I feel so restricted, or that's why it's been so challenging recently, etc., etc. What can I do with it? Yeah. It works like seasons. Our own judgment and our own experience and our own pain might say, oh, this is awful. This is I'm grieving. Oh no, I'm losing this. Oh no, you know, our egos might resent all of the changes and the sense of insecurity. But there is something about this season. There is something about winter and darkness and the soil being reshuffled and prepared for the next 2 years of spring. There's something about cycles, and there's something about being aligned with those cycles. It was a huge breakthrough for me to work with my menstrual cycles, for example, and not resent when I'm on my, you know, period, or when I'm on, before my period, or etc., and to just learn how to align myself with these cycles, because they're there. And no matter how much you resent it and how much you would like to just be summer after summer, well, it's not going to happen, my friend. So get used to it, you know, pick your pieces up and move on and find the best way to deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with, right? I mean, I'm not that insensitive when it comes to actual personal stories, but the underline is quite Saturnian. There's nothing we can do. Let's do the best we can do, and, you know, and be positive about it, you know, be constructive about it, right? if we're in our personal winter as well, let's prepare the ground for our springs, and that's it. You know, for our summers, let's do the most of our harvest, and etc. So just a little you know, just a little reflection there. So this is the way I work with astrology. So it's the same with any bigger transit or, you know, configuration in the sky. Yes, this could be a lot of delusion, this could be a lot of, you know, disappointment, but let's try not to make that. Let's try to keep our feet on the ground, follow that North Node in Taurus, be with your senses, you know, and etc. But yes, create a vision board, because it is Jupiter Neptune in Pisces, a powerful Piscean energy there. It is about creating a vision of what could be, you know, what is the best that you can envision for yourself around that area or connected to those planets, you know. That has a kind of a Piscean tone to it. And Piscean is about transcending reality, channeling inspiration. Is about bringing inspiration back into your life, injecting inspiration into your life. So that's definitely part of the picture there. Where can you re-inject inspiration in your life? How can you do that? What is the best way that you can find to do that? Can you embrace artwork and be creative, you know, painting again, drawing again, going for long walks in nature, bringing back your meditation practice, you know, bringing back your yoga practice, or changing your diet, or whatever it is? How can you do that? How can you embrace that Piscean energy? If you're not so sure about where that is in your chart, drop me a line, send me a message, even a comment here in this video, and we can find out together. So you can, you know, have a better sense about how to do that. Because if it's a Neptune Jupiter, like for example in the chart that we're looking in the 7th house, then yes, it's about relationships. It's about bringing more spiritual connection into your relationships, you know, being with people that bring that Neptune Jupiter and Pisces, you know. And yeah, it could be liars and cheaters if you're not grounded enough. But if you're grounded, then it could be a higher kind of relationship. It could be a higher you know, spiritual connection with, you know, on the one-to-one basis. If it's in the 10th, yes, in your career, in your social role, bring more of that inspiration on that, you know, Piscean spiritual dimension into your social role. If it's in the 2nd house, it's about values. You know, how do you make money? Do you make money in a way that's aligned with your beliefs, with your values? That's another way of seeing, and so on. So really important to embrace that and to have a vision. So from now up to the 12th of April 2022, when they're at its peak, is real you know, conducive. So I love this name, Hitchhiking Stars. It's about opportunity. When we're hitchhiking, it's about opportunity, right? Being in the right time and the right, you know, day at the right moment, etc. And, you know, hitching a lift. It's like hitching a lift with these planets as well, with what there could be reflecting. So it is about hitchhiking these energies. If you're aware, if you're conscious, you can make it, you can drive this into a manifestation that's a little bit more empowered, that's a little bit more aligned with who you are and what you want from life. You know, consciousness is what drives the symbolism. Yeah, the more conscious you are, the more you put an effort, the more you can drive that, the more you can sculpt the potentials of the symbolism, because it's like the worst, the best, and all the colors in between. All right. So the consciousness is really important there. So be conscious from now up to that, you know, up to April. It's a very important time there to create a vision, to create a vision board, to meditate, to really align yourself with your intuition and take an opportunity there. You know, Jupiter and Neptune will both be in their own sign. There's something quite powerful and poignant of these transit. And it's also trine to the South Node in Scorpio. So letting go of traumas, you know, letting go of the shadows of Scorpio that we're all collectively doing right now as well. And we do that by being a little bit more grounded with the Taurian senses and, you know, that Saturn is square the nodes there is also about stepping back, and stepping back from all of this instinctual, you know, conflict, which I think is like the shadow of Taurus and, you know, Scorpio being the two sides of the same coin, being too attached in relationships, being too jealous, being really involved in that, you know, sense of survival with relationships. Well, that Saturn square the nodes is pointing out to a little bit of detachment, a little bit of rationality there as well, goes a long way. And using that Jupiter Neptune Pisces to really envision something, to really bring abundance into your life. It's such an abundant configuration potentially as well. Creativity, fulfillment, inspiration. What would an inspiring life look like? You know, what inspires you the most? How can you manifest that more in your life? How can you bring that more into your life? So you love painting. How can you make more time for that? How can you take a day for that? And, you know, you love how you feel after meditation, or, you know, whatever it might be. So really look into that. It's well worth preparing yourself for this transit and doing a little ritual of your own, you know, a little envisioning of your own, so you can drive that energy for its best potential for you, you know, how to make that work for you. And so that's it. If you're not sure where that is in your chart, write a comment here, you know, send me a message and we can find out together. If you're interested, I do podcast as well. It's on Spotify as well, Hitchhiking Stars, 13 minutes astrology reflection. And there's also, you know, all the social media as well, Hitchhiking Stars all around, you know, giving talks, you know, in different places for different organizations. So yes, drop me a line, send me a message. I would love to hear from you. And let's dream. Let's create our, you know, vision boards with this Jupiter Neptune, this fertile, beautiful Jupiter Neptune configuration. And until next Tuesday, every Tuesday I'll be posting in this channel. See you Tuesday.